What's up, Knights? Xantos here, and today we're diving into the Master Monster Cave with Garagan the Nameless. In our video today, we're fighting him at the highest difficulty with Hunters. Our heroes of choice will be Tristan and Caliban, and I'll explain why. Although Tristan is only a rare hero, he still does wonders on Hunter class for multiple reasons. The base power that cleanses, heals, and grants 3 turns of Protect is huge when facing up against this guy, and Garagan also surrounds himself with Golem enemies, so although that 20k rage might not look too powerful, it deals a good chunk of damage to the Golems at our Hunter power. It also grants us 3 turns of Regenerate as well. Caliban is going to be coming clutch with his base power and his ability to weaken the enemy. 35% damage reduction is huge and pairs nicely with the Protect on our Knight and a few pieces of our mythic gear attuned properly. His rage is going to give us huge heals and shoot us right back up to full health if ever we start getting a bit uncomfortable in the dungeon. We're running with 3 pieces attuned to Goblin and 2 for Golem, and taking a peek at our sword there, the weapon is really fun to play with. I call it my stun gun sword. It has a chance to focus on chain start and 100% chance to stun on ultimate, making it really fun to lock an enemy in place if we need to. Now today we're running the Logician's Gauntlet as well for optimal play with hunters and swords, and we're diving right in. You can see right off the bat there our sword is coming into play with the 100% chance to stun on ultimate. Now with one box, Tristan's base power and Caliban's base power, we're able to get full rage, and we're actually going to hit the field with Tristan's rage power just so that we can deal a good chunk of damage to the Golem enemy and also give ourselves 3 turns of Regenerate. Slicing and dicing away and utilizing our stun yet again, you can see we're just able to hold that enemy in place. We're running at 350% Hunter power here. That's important to note. Now, I want everyone to keep in mind that this video is by no means the how to complete this dungeon kind of guide. It's more so just a fun showcase on how I would take this dungeon on with my class. And if the things I do in this video can inspire and invoke some thoughts in other players, then that's a win for me. I often get critiqued that I didn't do it properly even when I win, so I just wanted to mention that here. There's undoubtedly multiple ways to achieve success in this dungeon, and I always love hearing how different players do just that. Make sure you let me know down in the comments below how you achieve victory when facing up against the Master Monster Caves. I always love a good knighthood discussion. Now just slamming away at this Golem up front, you can see he just doesn't want to go down. We're opting for Caliban's rage here so that we can give ourselves a nice chunk of health back. Caliban's base power attempting to land the weaken but unsuccessful. However, now we're in the opportune spot where we can just repeatedly stun him over and over with our weapon, and there's nothing that he can do about it. Whittling away on his health here, I'm opting to heal up a little bit more with Tristan's base power as well as give ourselves a little bit more rage. One swipe for focus and a final box to give ourselves full rage and bounce into round 2. Now, surveying the field here, we can see there is a bunch of the Golem enemies, so we're going to opt for Tristan's Arrow of Light, dealing a nice chunk of damage on the enemies, about 140k to the Golem enemies, and also giving ourselves those 3 turns of Regenerate. It's huge in just maintaining a very comfortable health. Now, it worked once, why not use it again there? Trying to do as much damage as we possibly can to these Golem guys before they can get their Protect on, much like we are doing repeatedly with Tristan's base power. Again, using Tristan's Arrow of Light, we're able to take out that pesky back row archer. Now this gives us the ability to launch Caliban's base power on the front row, and it'll hit all 3 of the guys, and we're able to start having the weaken applied. On our build right now, we run a 60% boosted chance to weaken success rate. It's a single status charm that holds a big part in this combo to reduce damage. Now, most of the enemies here are still resistant to the weaken, but when it is applied and our knight is buffed with Protect, we can achieve a 100% damage reduction to goblin enemy damage, as well as 90% reduction from weakened golems. By having 3 pieces of gear attuned to Goblin, we reduce damage by 30%. Protect grants another 35% damage reduction, and Weaken grants the final 35%, giving 100% damage reduction to whatever class your gear is specifically attuned to. This might be common knowledge to most knights, but I always like popping in the explanation into videos just for any new knights that are joining us. Now, we take a bit of damage here at the end of the round because I thought that box would be enough to finish him off. But I actually think that it's kind of good that we took that much damage, because in this third round here, you're going to be able to see just how much we're able to heal up. Starting things off, we're going to use Tristan's Arrow of Light, just slamming all of the Golem enemies. Tristan's Base Power yet again, giving us about 80k heals and 3 turns of Protect, which is just huge. And then finalizing things with Caliban's Rage. You can see that we're right back up to full health and able to take on round 3 comfortably. Slicing and dicing away. We know once we can get to the back row with him, we're able to just repeatedly stun him in place. And Caliban's Base Power being successful with the Weaken on both Garagan and the Golem enemy there is huge. We're going to be getting a ton of less damage from Garagan for the next 3 turns, as long as we can maintain that Protect on ourselves as well. With Garagan soloed out, we know that all we have to do is slice away, repeatedly stun him in place. I actually used the Base Power there just to attempt to weaken him and show the 100% damage reduction again, but Garagan was being pesky, so we decided to just stun kill him to death. And that right there is how I comfortably take on the Master Monster Cave. Now, in this next example here, I'm going to show you how I uncomfortably take on the Master Monster Cave. In the first example, I just wanted to show how I take it on in a way when I just want to stay at full health the whole time. Now, this method is a little bit faster, but in all honesty, I wouldn't call it more comfortable. McLeod is strong versus Goblin, so you would think him to be the optimal choice in this scenario. However, he's really not, and it makes the dungeon a lot more interesting in all honesty. You can see we're repeatedly using the stun to hold him in place on the right side. Tristan's Base Power is able to shoot us up to full rage, and McLeod's Rage actually has delay, so we're getting rid of all of the enemy's powers as well. The Base Power does a huge amount of damage to Garagan in the back row at 350% Hunter Power. We know here we're going to pop up to full rage when we use Tristan's Base Power, and with McLeod's Base Power we're able to wrap up round 1 relatively quickly. Still in an alright spot. We've taken about a third of our armor damage, so we're going to use Tristan's Rage. Just keep in mind it has those 3 turns of regenerate. Might not seem like much, but it definitely helps a little bit in the long run. We know McLeod's Rage is huge, so we went with a couple boxes there to get to full rage, and we're just gonna protect up again with Tristan. Like I said, this second run is not a comfortable run against Garagan whatsoever. I actually just put it in the video because as a hunter player, you might think Garagan, Goblin, McLeod, Goblin, optimal choice, but he's actually not. Now the stun on our sword here is coming into play huge. Opting to delay the field here again, try and just do big chunks of damage. McLeod's Base Power is really where it's at right now. I see here that we can stun him in place and prevent any further damage. A little bit from the Golem on the right, but not too much. Had to make sure I get him before I get Garagan as well. clean up the floor nicely. Now I'm giving a much less dialogue filled version for this run of the dungeon, just due to the fact that this is by no means the ideal way to do it, but I'm just showing that there's multiple ways to success, and there's always different methods that you can use in a dungeon. Trying to get our health back with Tristan's base and rage there. You can see we actually dipped right down into our health. But we know once we get this golem out of the way, we're going to be able to just stun lock him in place. You can see we're able to finish the dungeon. A scary finish, but we still finished the dungeon. Method 1 is definitely my go-to method. However, method 2 still worked, and we were still able to achieve success. I want to give a big thank you to everyone tuning into the channel. As always, we appreciate the love and support here. We might dive into the Master Monster Cave a little bit more, and maybe explore with other knights and how they achieve success. Thank you very much, guys, again. And as always, knights, stay grinding.